Hello and welcome to the Vote Common Good podcast. We're mobilizing people of faith to make the common good their voting criteria and to pursue faith, hope, and love for a change on Election Day and prevent the re-election of Donald Trump. We need people of conscience all over America to wake up, speak up, and stand up for the common good. So thanks for joining us. Now here's your host, Doug Pagitt.
You know, it's been a busy couple of weeks. There have been so many things that we've been doing. So many times we may have been on your computer, iPad, or phone screen. If not, go back and take a look at votecommongood.com. You'll see a lot of these. We were part of a big training and a artistic expression rally on Saturday. That was just out of this world, fantastic. We were so proud to be part of that with the Revolutionary Love Conference and the This Moment rally, and it involved, I don't know, you know, like Gloria Steinem and the B-52s and the Indigo Girls and Meah Pace and, you know, people you'd want to be around your whole life. So it was really great. And also, maybe you saw it last night. You're going to get a little snippet of this tonight. Vote Common Good is launching a cooking show. I mean, you're going to hear more about it, but if you can believe it, a cooking show out of Harlem that's going to take us from state to state, all while staying at home in kitchen, and it's going to be spectacular. Hear more about that from Samir here tonight. And you know that Meah and Vince were coming to you live with Reverend Vince and the Love Choir. Maybe you've been following along with the podcast. We've been putting up so many podcast episodes, both in a live stream format and the audio format, and including the This Guy Has Got to Go podcast has been going on. So much is, and more is coming. Office and home concerts are coming together. So all the recordings of this will be available to you on the Facebook page if that's where you're finding this, or go over to votecommongood.com and you'll find all those there. And as you're going by there, notice the donate button. It hasn't changed at all, but we'd still love for you to click on it. And those of you that are regular contributors and donors, it means the world to us. Thanks, and please keep up your donations. We're trying to figure out how in the time of COVID and with people needing to put their money in all the right places, how an effort like ours stays alive. But I got to say, there's probably no week in which it has been more crystal clear that faith, hope, and love for a change on Election Day is necessary. We say at Vote Common Good very often that Donald Trump is a hazard to the well-being of this planet, and it's true that if you listen to the president in the last week, whether it's take this medication or inject bodies perhaps with disinfectant or with light, or don't give stimulus money to people that are married to immigrants, he's a real hazard to the well-being and the health of the people on this planet and this country. And so we are committed as ever to call people to faith, hope, and love for a change on Election Day. Just a little report from my front, and you're going to see a lot of things tonight. I've been doing interviews with people who voted for Donald Trump in 2016, and their faith is calling them to not vote for him in 2020. We're going to be sharing these edited videos and the full form videos and the audio of these interviews. It's incredible. I promise you it's going to buoy your spirit. The things that a lot of us have been wondering about and talking about, we're seeing happen in people all over the country. So, there's no guarantee, and we all need to keep doing all the work that we can do on voter suppression, on voter mobilization, but also on voter persuasion. And so a lot of things are happening. But Tuesday nights often provide us a little soul lift, some clarity, some calling forward. It's never been as clear as it's going to be tonight. You're going to hear from Meah Pace and Mario. You're going to hear musicians, and a musician that many of you don't know yet. Josh Cleveland is with us. Super glad to have Josh here. The panelists are going to be engaging tonight. Samir, as I mentioned, has the Electionary thought. Poet David White has a video that we're going to show, and Meah will tell us about a video we're going to see from YelloPain. So much goodness happening. Really glad that you're here. You're going to meet all the panelists in a bit. I mentioned this moment rally that happened on Saturday, and for that, Meah put together a piece that her and Mario recorded in their kitchen. And that's going to be our opening musical bit for tonight. So here it is for all of you to enjoy the great and wonderful sounds of Meah and Mario right out of a kitchen in New York City, where many of us find our hearts and where our thoughts are. So here it is for our electionary evening.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Meah Pace. I'm a singer, a songwriter, and an activist. I'm in an activist group called Vote Common Good, as well as the Resistance Revival Chorus. I'm also in a band called Chk Chk Chk. And speaking of, This is Mario Andrioni.
Hello.
He's one of the founding members of Chk Chk Chk, and he's going to join me for a song today. We're going to do a song by a wonderful woman named Marie Queenie Lyons, and it's called I Want My Freedom. And so I hope that you will be uplifted and join us today for this one.
Yes. Isn't that great? Hey, Meah, we have traveled the country together and have done, I don't know, some countless number of events. And I've watched you work a tambourine in a variety of settings. But that little subtle, just working that tambourine on your lap, I would imagine that was hard for you to keep it just right there and not take it out and run it on your hip, huh?
Oh, yeah. I wanted to jump around and shake the tambourine everywhere, but it worked. It worked.
Well, Meah, tell us a little bit maybe about that song. You can tell us why you picked that one for what happened this weekend, and it had really special meaning now when you think about so many people that find themselves in quarantine and their lives being held back, and sort of as a little glimpse into this call for a deeper freedom. And then tell us about the video that we're going to watch.
Sure. So I Want My Freedom, like you said, I felt would resonate with people during this very special time that we're going through. And even without the whole scope of the pandemic, I feel oppressed by this administration. And I know for a fact that there are people out there that have felt the same way throughout these past 4 years, or 3 and change. So yeah, the oppression is real, and people who may never have thought about certain things, affecting them are affecting them. Things are happening to their neighbors and their friends and their own families, and things have to change. So it's time for us to stand up and say, we want to be free from this. We want to be free from this whole situation. Definitely. And so that brings me to a video that I came across just checking out music on the internet, as I like to do sometimes as a musician. I like to just be inspired by other musicians. And I came across this fellow named YelloPain. And he's a rapper. He's got yellow hair. He's, you know, dresses really cool. I mean, he looks like all the cool rappers that you see, you know, just kind of out on the internet already. But he has this really special thing. And this particular song is called My Vote Don't Count. And clearly the song is made for anyone who feels that their vote just doesn't count. And the song was made to encourage folks to go out and vote, even when they feel like they are not being heard, like their votes don't matter. So this guy, YelloPain, is from Dayton, Ohio, and his cousin is actually Desiree Timms, who is running for Congress in Ohio's 10th district. And she, YelloPain, explains that he, I got all this information from Forbes. He was written up in Forbes. And he was feeling like his vote didn't count, like he never needed to vote, and who cares about the government, until his cousin sat down and explained to him how the election process and the government really works. And, you know, it took him a couple of months to really get it. She worked on it for, you know, a few months. And he said when he got it, something really clicked hard and he knew he needed to tell the world. So he made this song. You know, it sounds really cool and it's brilliant, I think. So I just wanted to share it with everybody.
Great. Well, here we go.
Electoral votes, more than 270, more than enough to become the 44th president of the United States. He will be the first African-American president of the United States.
I've been broke all my life, but I kept hope all them nights. You see business in my city? Yeah, they closed all them twice. I was just riding down Salem, all them damn potholes. I can't drive. I know y'all can fix it faster, but I know y'all won't try. Don't nobody care about us. And that's why I don't vote. Voted for Obama back in 2012. I remember that's when I had hope. He was saying, yes, we can. And everybody got less food stamps. And when I turned 21, I was still broke. I'd never vote again. I don't think I ever had a president make my life better. Did it all on my own. Ain't no politician ever do a nice gesture. I don't even know the mayor's name. I ain't never seen her one time ever. Tell me how she gonna help the city. What I'm supposed to do, write letters? What I'm supposed to do, blame Trump? He ain't never really gave ain't nobody raised minimum wage. None of these jobs pay enough. I think they just want to keep us broke, cause they ain't putting none in place for us. This how all my people feel, but we gotta learn. We complained enough, let me change it up. Everything I just said, everybody I know think the same way. See, they don't want to see us vote, and we never do, so we see the same thing. But all our votes really do count, and they'll never really let it show. So now I'm finna break it down, cause if I don't, you would probably never know. First thing first, you know back in middle school when they taught us, it was 3 branches of the government. We forgot it when we got older. It's the judicial, the legislative, and executive. But all we know is the executive. That's the mayor, or the governor, and the president. Now none of them 3 people make no laws, they just be checking them. The laws come to their desk and all they do is say no or yes to it. So when the news station tried to tell us that Barack Obama couldn't put us on, we was all salty at Obama when it was the Congress members all along. We gotta focus on the legislative branch, yeah, they the ones that make the laws. Yeah, they the ones write how much food stamp money you get on the card. But when people that wanted to help us wanted the job, I know they probably lost. Cause we ain't even know their name, we ain't know their face, we ain't know it all. So the Congress or the State House, that's legislative, they make laws. So what we want from the president is what they do. Okay, y'all? See, they election every 2 years, but we don't ever even go to those. The Congress, they can raise minimum wage, but we ain't even really know it though. So you know how back in 08, when we all voted for Obama, we was all supposed to go back in 2010 and vote for the Congress. Cause they the ones make child support laws. They the ones choose if your kids at school get to eat steak or corn dogs. The State House make the court costs. So if the country failed, then you can't say it's them, it's your fault. Cause y'all ain't know to vote for Congress members that was for y'all. And they don't gotta leave after 4 years, and we just let them sit. See, they don't wanna tell you this, they want you to focus on the president. Now the 3rd branch is the judicial, that's judges. They the reason why John Crawford and Trayvon ain't had justice. So when Meek Mill got locked up just for popping willies, we blame the judge and not the city when they let her get voted in. Cause they ain't know who to vote against. Imagine life on the other side. Roads better, schools better, everybody get their license back. Grocery store food better, custody of your kids back. Homeless people get new shelters. If we gon' fix the U.S., we gotta start with them 2 letters. Me and you. Somebody told us that the government wanna keep us broke, but the only reason why those people in the government is cause we ain't vote. And I ain't talking about the president, I'm talking about the ones we ain't know. See, they was gonna try to keep it low, but it's gonna hurt them when they see the polls.
Every time you stay home, someone is making a decision about you, making decisions about the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food your kids eat, and how much money you bring home every 2 weeks. So every time you sit out an election, every time you don't show up because you think it doesn't matter, someone else is happy that you didn't show up, so they can make that decision for you. Vote.
Yeah. Thank you, Meah. I was really impacted by that. You know, we spend a lot of time in our space, and we're going to reminding people that Donald Trump needs to go. And that's just the start. And we hope that all the millions of people that show up on Election Day when it's a presidential election get pulled into this vortex and get pulled into this work and start to say to one another, we're going to put a rally together. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, well before even his other most famous speeches, we need to not only have a march on Washington, we need to have a march on the ballot box. And we're hoping that people will join all the rest of us and really make a people movement around that ballot box on November 3rd this year, or on your mailbox when you vote early by mail-in voting. Because that's another thing. We're not all going to wait to get to the ballot box in 2020. We're going to have to be doing mail-in voting and pushing for that all over the country. So much to do, so much that we're called for in this life. And the great thing about, I think, about our electionary nights and these conversations is that we're trying to bring all this together. People of faith, people of conscience, people of organization, and all of us want to come together for a change on Election Day. So with our panelists, we're going to open this up for a moment. Let us all chat about this. And some of our regulars are here and some new friends are with us. So anyone who wants to engage in the panelist conversation, tell us what you're thinking. Maybe you were struck by Meah's song, something she said, or the video.
Yeah, I'm Meah, thank you so much for playing that YelloPain song. It's those of you that know the rest of the work that I do in politics, it's right up my alley. You know, every 4 years we put a lot of resources, a lot of energy, a lot of focus into who's going to be the occupant of the White House. The reality is that we need to put as much focus, as much energy, as much resources into who's going to represent us in Congress, in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, because those folks are equally important, and it doesn't nearly get the same attention. Congress has an over 90 has a single digit approval rating and an over 90% reelection rate. And it really shouldn't be that way. So just because, you know, the presidential primaries are settled, we know who, you know, it's going to be Joe Biden against Donald Trump. So people think, well, I don't need to vote anymore. The reality is there's primaries happening in Ohio. Ohio is announcing tonight the results of their mail-in primary. New York is coming up. You know, there's talk that, well, the presidential primary is being canceled in New York, but there's all of these congressional primaries that are taking place. All of those votes really, really matter. So that video was, I felt like it was singing my song.
Thanks, Rob Ryerson. Anyone else? Comments for the rest of us?
This is Mike Waters, and as we are gathered tonight, I want to lift up the name of Ahmaud Arbery, who was killed in Brunswick, Georgia, a young black man, 25 years old, on his Sunday jog, and was shot down in cold blood without having committed any crime. And authorities have not brought to justice the father and son who killed him, because they say that they were well within their right as Georgia citizens, acting as if they were protecting their neighborhood. And so indeed we are standing and raising our voice with many others rising all across the nation in calling for justice for this young man, and reminded that even in the midst of a global pandemic, white supremacy does not take any days off. what a powerful video and a necessary video, because there are so many who are so disengaged and discouraged from participating in the political system because of the disappointments they have faced, as well as the very real threats of voter intimidation and voter suppression that happen in our society. And yet, these are the very persons who we need to radically change not just the system, but to radically change our communities for the better. And I'm grateful for these unique voices that are offering their gifts to share this very important work. Let us also remember that many persons entered into the voting rolls for the first time, initially because of the work of a gentleman by the name of Sean Puffy Combs and the Vote or Die movement, and then because of the hip hop community's support of the presidency of Barack Obama, lending their gifts and support to that effort. And so once again, we need all persons of goodwill to go to the polls, but we also need to, as this young brother has done, create other means and other opportunities to reach persons who might not be reached by mainstreamed tactics, and invite their participation as well.
Thank you, Reverend Michael. Okay, it's my privilege to introduce to you Josh Cleveland. Josh is been a friend of mine for a long time. We've been part of the same community. He's one of those voices and one of those musicians that means a lot to me, and I am super glad to be introducing him to you. Josh, thanks for being with us tonight. I don't know if you want to tell us anything about the song that you're going to give to us. One of the things I love about these Electionary and with their musicians is we're right inside people's houses, basements, kitchens, and everything people are doing is coming from where they live, right? And if we had more of a society where that place that from where we live is how we engage, I just think we would have the kind of world that could care for so much of us, so many of us, so much better. So, Josh, thanks for coming to us from your basement.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, I'll get right into the tune, not bore you too much with the intro, especially because this song's not one of my own, but I love this song so much. I play it on a regular basis, whether I'm playing in some venue or in the work that I do in schools. And I feel like in this time, it's just such a great message, especially with what Vote Common Good is doing, and just this idea of when we know what's right, we step up and we do what we need to, and we step up with people in mind as well. So this is a song. It's not my own, but it is a Tom Petty song that I love to death. It is Won't Back Down. So I'm just playing my kind of rendition of this song. Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. No. No. Well, I'll stand my ground. Won't be turned around. World that keeps on pushing me around, I'm gonna stand my ground, and I won't back down.
no easy way out. Hey, I stand my ground, and I won't back down. Well, I know what's right, and I've got just one life in the world that keeps on dragging me down. I'm gonna stand my ground, and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out. Hey, I stand my ground, and I won't, no, I won't, no, I won't back down.
Yeah, that is Josh Clevelandall. And if you're saying to yourself, man, that guy should be on The Voice, it's too late. Already been there and done that. So, hey, Josh, thanks. Thanks for adding your voice and your rendition to this work that we're up to. Another voice that many of you have heard regularly around our work here at Vote Common Good is one of the originators of this entire idea. In fact, if you've sort of wondered, like, who came up with all of this, this idea to do this Vote Common Good thing, it was Samir. I was there, watched it happen. We're sitting in a restaurant, eating in Harlem late at night, and a couple of bottles of wine in, an idea was birthed out of the mind of Samir. So Samir, thanks for this. And I'm just going to bump for a minute here that Samir is also going to launch this cooking show that I mentioned earlier. Starting on Mondays and Thursdays, you'll hear a bit of detail about it, and all of it will be coming out in our Vote Common Good world. And you might want to go to AmericanLove.kitchen to get signed up after this is all done for what's coming. But Samir's putting that project together to talk to us about the role of kitchen in our life and how cooking can connect to those places of home and that call for us to create the kind of world that's connected and interconnected. So, Samir, tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the Electionary passage tonight, and thanks for doing it. Not only is Samir an originator of this, but a chef of master quality. He's also been a pastor for a really long time. So tell us what you're going to share with us in the Electionary video for tonight.
Hey, I got myself into something I'm scared of right now, and those are the times we find ourselves in to have a cooking show and have it live. But then, I think Doug took me by my word before I could pull back, and, things went from then on. And then my daughters also bought into the idea, and so they're excited as well. So I wanted to take a passage that's kind of overlooked in the Bible. Usually we go to Gospels, which I love, but this one is from one of these books that are problematic, to say the least. Apocalyptic, epic, judgmental, bloody, violent kind of text. And we can understand it's coming from the time where that was actually happening with Christians. They were suffering a lot and they needed a mystical text to help them through. So I asked my friend Ralph here, he is in Queens, in New York, to read that text. And then I have recorded something and, shredded it into pieces, cutting it down to something shorter. You will see some blips there. And then after that, we'll connect and see what you got out of it. I'm curious. Ralph has a phone only, so he will put it close to his mouth to read it.
Right. Yes, this is from Revelation 3, verses 14 to 20. These are the words of the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the ruler of God's creation. I know your deeds, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish you were either, one or the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I'm about to spit you out of my mouth. You say I'm rich. I have acquired wealth and don't need a thing. But you don't realize that you are wretchful, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined in fire, so you can become rich, and white clothes to wear, so you can cover your shameful nakedness, and salve to put on your eyes, so you can see. Those whom I love, I rebuke and discipline. So be earnest and repent. Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come eat in and eat with him, and he with me.
Hello, I am Samir Selmanovic, and I'm here in Harlem, New York City. This is my kitchen, my family's dining room, and it's an appropriate place to talk about these texts we have just read. Notice that in the text, the one who speaks is named as Amen. It says words of the Amen, the faithful and the true witness, the ruler of God's creation. And this important person, this important witness, that is cosmic witness, whatever that means for you, is coming and is pretty judgmental. It is saying, look, you are blind and pitiful and lost, and you think you know everything and you are rich. And I invite you, this Amen says, to repent, which is in Greek metanoeo, which means think about the way you are thinking. Meta, knowing, like think about the way you're imagining everything, the way you see, the perspective you have. Because on your perspective depends everything. And then he or she, this cosmic love, says, here's how. Open the door and I'll come in and we will sit together and have a meal together. And this auspicious mystical experience of divine human encounter happens in the kitchen. And you might be thinking, like, is it the right time, really, to talk about kitchen and cooking? The world is burning, and who has time for this, you might say. We are busy being angry. And this is an appropriate response because anger is the deepest form of compassion. It's where something or somebody, a world itself, is actually under imminent danger, and what we love and care for and we are vulnerable to, and what is vulnerable is about to be hurt, and that is our reaction. And anger is a flame in the middle of our care, and so we are invited to manage that anger and be properly angry and functionally angry and effectively angry. And how we do that? Well, we broaden our experience of life in order to be able to do that. And kitchen is one of those places that really can do the job and has always done that job. And so why kitchen? One reason why kitchen is that kitchen is a place of transformation. It has always been a place of transformation, the first place of transformation in human experience. Priests were those who wore this. This is how priests were dressed up, because they were taking care of the food and they were transforming something previously unusable, data into stories, and protein and carbs into something that can be digested, that can sustain us and actually make us who we are. So priests, magicians, and cooks were called mageiros historically. It's a Greek word. Also, it's a place of transformation in our childhood. When we grow up as children and we cling to our mother's or father's leg as they cook, we are comforted in safety and in awe of how the world is transforming from something from the outside into something that nurtures us and nourishes us. It is this connection between the outer world and our inner world that happens in that place. It's a place of safety where we can belong, but also a place of challenge. When home really works, then we are challenged to become and move on and make a new home. So kitchen is a place where we arrive and depart all the time. That's our home of our physical and narrative becoming. It's also a real place. We think that a real place is a Congress or Senate or, where there's a lot of males with ties and they come together and then they make decisions. Historically, throughout centuries, when tribes would make a decision, they would bring a child or children and elderly in the middle of the tribe, and they would make decision in their presence, in their sight. So imagine if we would decide about every war or our economic policies, and we cannot actually have Congress in session at all if we do not have kids and elderly in the middle of the chamber there while decision is made. If they're not there, decisions cannot be made. So kitchen is the place where people make decisions in the full sight of children and of elderly. And this is where people make important decisions. There's a kitchen test for most decisions we make, however small or big, including our vote. This is a place where stories merge with our presence, where we actually not just present, but we also know what are we present for, whom are we cooking for, and why do we have life that we have. So in the unknown, our real job is to help recreate American imagination. Nothing less than that will do. Whether you are a priest, a prophet, or artist, or an activist, or a business person, or a healthcare worker, it doesn't matter. We are all now participating in creating or recreating or recasting the American imagination. To recreate American imagination is going to take art more than anything else. I want to finish with a quote from a poet, David White. He writes about poetry and politics here, which he rarely does, and he explains here why. And I think this applies to any artist, those of you who sing, those of you who write or cook. And here's what it says. Poetry does not take surface political sides. It is always the conversation neither side is having. It is the breath in the voice about to discover itself only as it begins to speak. It is the breath in the voice about to discover itself only as it begins to speak. And it is that voice firmly anchored in a real and touchable body standing on the ground of our real inhabited world. So I want to invite you to this real inhabited world and our bodies standing or sitting or eating, of being together.
Thank you, Samir. Samir, anything more you want to say before we open it up to the panelists? And then Samir has also secured for us, maybe you want to say something about your time with David White, but a piece of poetry from David White that we'll hear tonight from his own kitchen.
Yeah. I have been. I'm really inspired by this idea, which I think Brian was the first who planted that into my mind and heart a long time ago, that contemplation and justice, that joy and grief is all the same thing. It's part of the same whole. And we cannot move forward if we are not moving whole. And I feel like, I started my Christian journey trying to be right. Then you sort of move on and try to be good. And then you move on and you try to be whole. Right? But I think the fourth stage is to be part of the whole, that you understand that we are only participating in something. We're not going to make this happen. Because we are in the unknown, in this liminal space, we are all going to be surprised. Virus was a surprise, but the bigger surprises are coming. So the question is how to live a life open to a surprise. You know, that's for me is, and to do that, it's attending to your body, to your life around you, to daily tasks, to daily, to brushing teeth, to doing what we need to do to be the human beings. And we will win this through living with joy and love. And we will win because we love life more, right? And I feel, that's for me. I feel called to bring these things together so that people who are activists, come from this grounded and strong place all the time. So David White I like him a lot. I think he's as great as living poet. And I had the opportunity to be in Italy with him for a week. I have a lot of relatives in Tuscany, and I was there for a week, and we were walking around and seeing things and monasteries and talking poetry, and it was cooking all day everywhere. I mean, it was amazing. And so we got these big Florentine steaks, like 4 steaks for 30 people kind of a thing. And we did them together, he and I, and it was just really great bonding time. And so he wrote this poem, Everything is Waiting for You, which I read, Doug, to you for your book launch day. So here he reads it from his kitchen, and you will see why, because he is saying a time comes where even if you're intimidated with pots and pans, if you just listen and look, they will see good in you at one point. So even if you are not a kitchen person, but of course he talks about a lot of other things. So he has this video that we have. So if you everybody wants to comment now or after the video, whatever.
Yeah, let me play the video, Samir. I'll play the video, and then we can comment and include that in. So panelists, you can get yourselves ready for any kind of response to Samir's Electionary piece, his comments now, or to this video. This is the poet David White.
There's a long human tradition of everything speaking back to us, often in silent ways, whether it's the clouds moving across the sky, the migration of the seasons, the bird call in the morning. We're all confined to our houses these days, and so what you're surrounded by is what has to speak to you. And this is a piece I wrote on that dynamic called Everything is Waiting for You. A title that sounds vaguely positive to begin with, until you realize that everything is waiting for you, including your own final migration and disappearance. Your great mistake, everything is waiting for you. Your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone. Your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone, as if life were a progressive and cunning crime with no witness to the tiny hidden transgressions. To feel abandoned is to deny the intimacy of your surroundings. Surely, even you at times have felt the grand array, the swelling presence and the chorus crowding out your solo voice. Surely, even you at times have felt the grand array, the swelling presence and the chorus crowding out your solo voice. You must note the way the soap dish enables you, or the window latch grants you courage. Alertness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. Alertness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. The stairs are your mentor of things to come. The doors have always been there to frighten you and invite you. And the tiny speaker in the phone is your dream ladder to divinity. Put down the weight of your aloneness. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into the conversation. Put down the weight of your aloneness. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into the conversation. The kettle is singing even as it pours you a drink. The cooking pots have left their arrogant aloofness and seen the good in you at last. All The birds and creatures of the world are unutterably themselves. Everything, everything, everything is waiting for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but that's what I feel like. I want to walk around talking like sort of all the time. I sort of want a David White sort of like wisdom and repeating refrains. All right, anybody comments, responses to Samir's piece, to what you heard from David White, to anything that has struck you in the course of this electionary night?
I'd like to say something. I'm struck by, Samir, by your conjuring in our imagination Congress being more like a kitchen and children and grandparents being there while decisions are made. And it just strikes me of that scene. It's especially true of the Republican leadership, although it's too true of Democrats as well. But almost every picture they have is exclusively old white men. And I think about how the Constitution of this country was written for old white men. I guess I'm speaking as an old white man, saying how disgusting I find that. And that the decisions of our courts through the centuries have really been in favor of old white landowning men, and others have suffered so much. And how, in a sense, by being in groups that where it's all of those kinds of people making decisions, how easy it is to forget the people of other races and the people who are, and the children who will be affected, and people of, and these, by the way, were old white Christian men by and large, and how their decisions affect Jews and Muslims and atheists and Sikhs and Buddhists and so on, and so that strikes me. And then a line from Mia's song earlier really strikes me. What was the line? You know, we can't wait because it could be too late to get my freedom. And what it feels like is happening in the world right now is that old white men are feeling threatened, and they're making this desperate life and death grab for power through voter suppression, through rigging elections, through finding old white men from other predominantly white countries to help them do so. And all of this just strikes me that it could be too late if we wait, because you really can lose freedoms that you can't get back for your lifetime or your children's lifetime. And so it's just making me feel the urgency of what we're about and the humanity of what we're about. Those are a couple of thoughts.
Thank you, Brian. Any other panelists want to contribute to comment tonight?
This is Mike Waters here. Moving images throughout the evening, and several thoughts that came to mind from Samir's placement in Harlem, which has gifted so much to our nation, culturally, politically, economically, for generations. And thinking about the words of James Baldwin, favored son of Harlem, and the importance of the kitchen and the sounds and the festivities in Harlem that welcomed him back after his stay in Paris. And so a very rich background that Samir painted for us to share from his own kitchen. And that then looped my mind to a young preacher in Montgomery, Alabama, who sat down at his kitchen table after being thrust into leadership of the Montgomery bus boycott, having just received yet another death threat that caused him to buckle and want to abandon the movement. And in his own words, recorded in his first book, Stride Toward Freedom, Dr. King suggests that while he was there at that kitchen table, he heard a still small voice encouraging him to continue to fight for justice and to fight for righteousness. And it invites me now to consider that, frankly, the courage that we seek and that we need so much at this time we might find it within our own homes. That this is a time for all of us to go through a kitchen conversion and ask ourselves the question of what we are willing to give and to sacrifice to redeem this nation for generations to come. Then finally, for what was just shared by Brian, which I appreciate his authenticity and transparency, it comes to mind that in a very odd way, our kitchen may be the most diverse experience that we have within our homes, because we draw often from so many cultures and experiences in what we dine over with our families. What would our nation look like if the same diversity that we uplift and uphold and even celebrate within our kitchens, we celebrate beyond our kitchens in the real world, where we make space and place on our table for everyone in their unique experiences, and we enjoy one another the same. And I'd be remiss if I did not also finally recognize, as we shared last week, that while we're all in the same storm, we might not be in the same boat. And my heart and prayers and work are with so many for whom the kitchen is now a terrifying place, because every time they return to that kitchen, there's little substance there to sustain their family in the midst of this pandemic. And so for some of us, we are gifted of no work of our own in particular, of really having the blessing. Some may say it's fate, of returning now to kitchens that are well stocked and ready to feed our families. And yet there's somebody possibly watching us tonight, surely persons all across America, who may be terrified about entering their kitchen because of the lack that is present there. And maybe there's something, again, that we hold on to in our homes in this pandemic moment, something that we glean from our own kitchens where we are dissatisfied by having full kitchens when others are in lack. Maybe we have a broader vision of what it means to be in community with each other.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Well, hey, I just put one more plug in. This cooking show is really more than a cooking show. I'm just going to talk a bit about it, Samir. It's going to tour the 5 states that we think matter most in this election. Wisconsin first. 10 states. Wisconsin is first. Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, and there will be others. And chefs from each of those states will be participating from their own places. There'll be music and poetry. It'll have an electionary feel, but from the kitchen with a real recipe from each of those states, so that we not only ask those people of those states to engage in this collective work of changing this country on Election Day, but we will also join with them in the kinds of foods and narratives that come from those places. This notion of eating together, of breading together, of drinking together, of being together around food. It's a fantastic idea. So we know we're asking for a lot from your lives, for you to be around with us on Tuesdays, for you to join with us in praying for the president on Friday, for you now to join us on Monday for a recipe, and then Thursday for a meal together. But we're trying to create a movement of people who are joining in all the areas of our lives in this work that we're doing. So super glad that you're here with us. We've asked Meah if she would take us out on a final song, that she would serenade us into yet another week from Tuesday to Tuesday, or however it is in this time of sheltering at home. And I also want to think about all those who don't shelter at home. Every week we want to recognize and remember that for some of us, we're staying in. But that's only made possible because other people have to go out. People that are driving trucks and moving trains and working in the supply chain, people that are in our healthcare system, people that are in our grocery stores, farmers that are in the fields, people that are in the processing plants. There are people who are moving about and doing all that they can to make sure that all of us can stay home. And then in state by state, people are worried that they're being asked to go out and to support their neighbors and support businesses, and they don't know if it's safe or if it's fair, and all those who are suffering in such a way. I also want to mention that Britton, who is part of our team, and if you get an email from us, it comes from the laptop of Britton. If you see our social media posts, many of those come from Britton. Britton's father is in Nashville. He's in crisis right now. He's on a ventilator. He's suffering from the coronavirus disease, and his life is in deep peril at this very moment. So many of us have known those who have died from this disease. We know that we're living in the midst of it. And one who is very close to the life of Vote Common Good's father. His name is Hayden, and Britton asked if we would recognize him tonight. So for all of these pieces, knowing that life is so complex, I live in a home that has a little 6-month-old who fortunately doesn't have to deal with these worries. He just smiles and enjoys and grows his little life. And then there's others who are in the final days of their lives. And we're all called to live in the midst of that fullness of high and that depth of the low. And that is the place that we find ourselves. So we know that all things are awaiting us, and all things can feel like it is their time. So, Meah, would you give us a goodness and a blessing from your heart, from your mind, from your voice, from your lungs, to all of us in the places we find ourselves?
Yes, thank you, Doug. I'm here with Mario Andrioni from Chk Chk Chk. And, you know, I'm thinking of Hayden tonight, too, and Britton. I am keeping your family in my prayers. I'm thinking of everyone who has been affected by this pandemic in a personal way. I have an aunt who, thank God, has come out on the other side of this. But, you know, we still have a long way to go. So I'd like to sing a song about hope. And it's called I Hope, but it's more about acknowledging the people and the families and the human beings who want a change and who are trying to make a change, whether that's with prayers, with actions, with voices, with community, whatever it is you do. So I'm going to send you into your week. And my birthday is Thursday. So all I want for my birthday is for everyone to be uplifted and to have a little bit of hope. How could we ever come to this, you say? Our lives do not matter, and justice has no face. To study war and anger burns the fabric of our state, sends a message to our neighbors that we've fallen from the fray. It's a long road to walk on, and I don't know where it is, but I hope that when I'm too tired to carry on, I don't know if you'll be there, but I hope. Dream on, dreamers. When the promises fade, it can only leave room for the great. And when you long for a hero, no need to look around. You will be one and the same. I said, fight on, brother, oh, to knee or to stand. It's a power that's placed in your hands, yeah, yeah. And march on, sister, you're never alone. Lift us up and carry us home. 'Cause it's a long road I don't know if it is, but I hope that when I'm too tired to carry on, I don't know if you'll be there, but I hope we've come too far now to turn around, and we won't back down. I hope, and you might say, we'll never see the end. No. Well, I don't know, my friend. I hope. I hope for you, for me. I hope.
Thank you, Meah Pace. Thank you, Mario. And from all of our homes to all the places where you find yourselves, we hear from Rob.
I just wanted to chime in with a little bit of election results for everybody because it is electionary. So,
Hey, political nerd alert. Hang on a second. Political nerd alert. The polls have closed. Our regular old
in
Steve
Ohio,
here.
Desiree Timms, who was in the video that we saw earlier, speaking at the end of the video, won her primary tonight.
Get behind her, huh?
And that's right. And Kate Schroeder, who spoke at our event in Cincinnati, is currently at 55% of the vote, with about a third of the votes counted. So
all right,
on her way with a very good start.
That's amazing.
All right. Well, Rob will be in front of the big board all night, so we'll check back at about 11 o'clock tonight if you're into nerdy MSNBC humor. Hey, thanks everyone. Thanks for being part of all of this. Those of you on Facebook, thank you for that. Those who've come into Zoom, we sure appreciate it. And much is happening in the world of Vote Common Good. Keep up with us. If you want to become a financial donor, we'd love to have you be one. If you already are one, thank you for all that you've done to help make all this possible. And we will be back next Tuesday and take a look for all the communication that's coming out, and keep Britton and his family and the others who are in such difficult moments close to your hearts, if you would. So from all the people of Vote Common Good to all the places where you are, faith, hope, and love for a change in Election Day, and good night.